everyone. Welcome to Get Unstuck with Alla, a podcast that explores holistic well-being, conscious living, and the inner shifts that can help us move through life with greater clarity, balance, and alignment. My guest today is Bal, an advanced respiratory physiotherapist with over 25 years of clinical experience, a PhD researcher in breathwork and nervous system science, and the founder of Body Mind IQ. What makes her work especially powerful is that it is shaped not only by science and clinical experience, but also by her own experience of burnout during COVID, a turning point that deepened her focus on breath work, nervous system regulation, and resilience. Today, she works with organizations to support workforce well-being and resilience during times of change, and also helps high-performing women recover from burnout and reconnect with their health and vitality. So what I wanted to ask is, so you do work with the women who may be going through the burnout, and we identified it as stress. So I want to understand what would make someone resilient to the stresses of life. For example, there are people who are very high performing and they do not experience burnout. Mm-hmm. They are still able to perform really well, let's say. They keep going and they're able to be resilient to the stresses of life. So whatever it is that perhaps created that emotional turmoil that we could not deal with, maybe something we couldn't process in the right way, for another person would have crippled them. Or because the reason I'm speaking this is, for me, when I was going through that, I know that there was a lot of emotional charge because for me, working with children is a lot of responsibility.
Sure.
It's someone else's children and it's their life, and I have to educate, and there's so much going on that I cannot even say.
Sure.
That it accumulates.
Yeah.
Especially when if something happens,
Yeah.
and so you feel very, very accountable, and that level of pressure every day. You have so much pressure, that if you don't have the right tools with you, which at that time I didn't have, although I was practicing some yoga asanas, I did not have the tools to navigate those stresses that I was facing every day. So I did allow things to affect me on a personal level.
Yeah.
And I believe that resulted in that burnout because I could not process the emotions.
Sure.
As it was every day there was something new coming up. So how do you think women, especially, because a lot of times we're giving, and that job for me was also very giving. Your energy is outwardly driven. You're constantly in the giving mode, and I think for you it was the same.
Sure.
Yeah. So how can women, especially, and everybody else, of course, but how can we become more resilient towards the stresses of life? How can breath work help perhaps with that? Maybe you can share your experience with breath work and with the women you work with.
Sure.
What kind of results you have seen by taking them through the breath work, and how it changed, maybe how it helped to process things, how it helped them to face things in the better way.
Yeah, I think you've touched upon something really great there, which is the emotional baggage we carry, because we do take on so much, especially as women, even as little girls. I remember being told as a little girl to be seen but not be heard, and to suppress my voice. Later on, years and years and years of doing that, because we learn all our patterns between the ages of 0 and 7, that became my identity, that I wasn't to speak, but I was only to be seen. So I wasn't very confident with my voice. I didn't stand up and put my hand up in class to say, I'll actually, I'll read or whatever, or, I'll do the presentation. I actually shied away from doing any presentation. I wasn't very confident in a room, and I didn't want to speak in any circumstance. Even doing the training in my own department was, oh gosh, very nerve-wracking. And I used to melt the day before thinking, how am I going to do this? How am I going to get through this? And that's because all my emotions were in my throat. And so I had a lot of anger and suppression within my throat. And is it a surprise that I got low thyroid, hypothyroid? Because, again, so much was held in my throat area. It was only when you start recognizing, and awareness is key, conscious awareness is key in terms of, okay, this isn't right, what can I do about it? Instead of saying to the doctor, you own my health, give me the pill for it, it's about, well, how much do you own yourself? How much do you take responsibility and say, it's my health, it's my body. How am I going to recognize what's going on with my body? So at that time, I decided to look at why I was carrying, what these emotions were, because a lot of the time we're conscious about these emotions, but there's many times that we're not. Yeah. And we've repressed these emotions so far down that we don't even remember what the story or the emotion was. That is that deep down. So they are repressed emotions. Then you've got suppressed emotions where you feel something and you just push it down and you just think, it's okay, I'm not going to get angry at that person because it's not worth it. And you just push it down, but you're angry, you're building that anger inside of you. In the same way, like I said, I had held on to a lot of emotion in my throat. So for me, becoming conscious, becoming very aware that there was something going on, and then sitting with it. And then sitting with it in a way where I'm not attaching a story to it, but I'm just concentrating on my breathing. So how does my breath flow in and out of my belly area? How is it going into my diaphragm? And just concentrating on that, and then I'd notice a thought would come up, like just intuitively a thought would come up of something that I hadn't thought of for years, and it may have been a time where in my childhood I probably got told off for doing something, and that thought would come up with an emotion. Yeah. And that emotion then took hold and I'd feel it, but then I didn't know what to do with that. So it was only later that I started learning from the work of Dr. David Hawkins that allow yourself to sit with that emotion without any judgment. Don't attach the story to it, but feel the emotion fully. And this is the work I go through with the ladies that I help. So feel the emotion come fully for 90 seconds is all it takes. If it takes longer than 90 seconds, you've attached a story to it. So 90 seconds is all it takes without any judgment. Sit with that, feel it fully, let it be, and then allow it to move on. Give it permission to be seen and to move on. And that slowly, doing that work, allowed me to move through so much emotion that I held onto my throat that within a year and a half, I'd actually reversed my thyroid condition. I came off the highest amount of medication that I was on, and I was able to come off it completely with normal bloods because I was able to free the emotion through my thyroid. But that was also complemented through the diet as well. Yeah. So the way I help the women that I work with is give them space. Give them space to feel safety, because safety is where it starts. We're always so much on edge, and we don't allow ourselves to feel the safety of just being with ourselves. And when we're with ourselves and allow ourselves to feel the safety, we can go deeper into the subconscious and allow some of these patterns to start coming up for them to then move on, because we were never meant to hold on to them. Children do it really well. 2-3-year-old children, when they've got an emotion, they let you feel it. They feel it, but they let you feel it as well. They will show you. Yes, is it temper tantrums, yes. And they do it so beautifully. They will shake their body. They will scream at you, but they do it and they've let it go. They're done. Animals do the same thing. They'll shake their body in a way that they're discharging that nervous energy. They don't speak about it. They don't cry about it, but what they do is move through it. We see that with dogs where they're shaking. You know, as soon as they've done something and they've come back into their home, they'll just shake their body. So again, animals do it, children do it. We've forgotten how to do it. Where are we discharging our emotions in a safe way? We're not, because we're so conservative. We're just so stuck in the, oh, what's someone else going to think about this? Or I shouldn't be doing this. It shouldn't be me, because we've created an identity around it. But it's about letting some of these identities go and saying it's okay. We as humans are meant to experience the whole barrage of every human emotion that you can think of, and do it in a way where we do it, feel it, let it go, and not hold on to it. Emotions were never to hold on to. So the way I will help my women, first and foremost, is to allow them to feel the safety, allow them to feel safety in actually recognizing that there's an emotion there and letting them move through it. I use the power of breath and breath work specifically. So breathing and breath work are two totally different things, and I'll come on to that in a minute.
Sure.
But through the power of breath work, we actually go through breathing patterns where they are able to then access the subconscious mind. So altered states of consciousness is where you enable yourself to switch off the cognitive, the conscious, rational mind, so you're not making up stories, and dip into the subconscious where you're holding on to patterns to allow them to move through you. When you do that work, you find that your capacity is actually increasing because you're not holding on to things the way you used to hold on to them. You've let them go. So your container for emotions gets bigger. We go through things like emotional processing. When something comes by your way, how are you dealing with that emotion? How are you accepting that actually it's something that you recognize from conscious awareness, but you're going to let it go because it's not something you need to hold on to. So doing that work. Then the other part of it is the lifestyle medicine. This is one frame. This is one of 6 pillars of the lifestyle medicine. So it's the stress management part. So this all comes under stress management. And then the other 5 pillars are: how are you eating well? How are you moving well? How is your movement supporting you through this part of your life? Because when most of the women that work with me are in their 40s, they're going through perimenopause, 40s, maybe early 50s, but they're going through perimenopause. And at that stage of life, things like aerobic exercise isn't very valuable to you. You need to do something slower, but also do something more harder. So you do the weightlifting, strength training maybe once or twice a week, where you can do it with your body weight. You don't necessarily need to go and join a gym. And then you do more kind of cardiovascular training, just doing a walk at the lower zones, which is fantastically beneficial for your health. And then the other things are like movement therapy, Tai Chi, Qigong, yoga. They are all fantastic for the way you move your body and flexibility and balance. So at that stage of life, it's like, how do you move well to support your body?
Yeah.
How do you eat well? Already mentioned this, but how are we eating well and not consuming some of the foods that we used to consume younger, that we used to get away with, but our bodies aren't forgiving anymore? So things like proteins, protein heavy, fiber heavy, and making sure that we prioritize good fats as well in that, and then kind of lowering down our carb intake, but still having carb intake because that's what produces energy. So it's just the general education around that and how we can use herbs and spices within our food to fortify and also just to bring really good flavors in. Then the other pillar is sleep management, which I've alluded to as well. Sleep management is really important because what we're finding now is our bodies are breaking down a lot quicker because we think we can get through it. But it's prioritizing that rest. And what, again, we're recognizing a lot more now is people aren't sleeping very well. Even if they're sleeping 10 hours, 9 hours, 8 hours at night, they're not sleeping very well. They're not going into that deep restorative sleep. And the reason being that they'll look at their phone.
Scrolling.
They'll scroll until they're about to go to sleep. And that only disturbs our circadian rhythm.
Very true.
And, you know, that light, blue light going into the eyes, it tells your body that it's still light outside. So your body never dips into that deep sleep because of the melatonin levels. So when you wake up in the morning, you're still feeling really groggy, even though you might have had 8-9 hours of sleep. So, you know, really prioritizing sleep hygiene. And it starts with how you are in the nighttime, or what you do before bed, to what you do when you first wake up, to just really manage those kind of cortisol, melatonin levels. Then that's sleep management. Then the next one is relationships, and relationships not just with other people, but also with yourself.
Yeah.
So your relationship with other people could also include boundaries and how you actually start saying no to things that don't serve you, like serve your soul. If it's from inside, you're doing something because you've always done it, but you feel you don't want to do it. When are you actually sticking up for your body to say, actually, I'm not going to do that because it doesn't serve me? So it's understanding that you can say no. The other person's not going to mind. They're probably going to feel better for knowing that you've made a decision either way. You're not doing something half-heartedly. And then it's the relationship with yourself. Your relationship with yourself is all about what is it that you want? What's your goals? What makes you happy? What do you want to achieve? What's your vision? What's driving you? Everything about you as a person. What makes you you? And really connecting with that, because you are your biggest fan. And how do you connect with that biggest fan of your, how do you become the biggest fan of you?
Your best friend.
Your best friend, absolutely. And if you can't do that with yourself, you're never going to do it for anyone else either.
True.
So it's really becoming your number one fan and understanding that person completely, what makes them buzz, what makes them, want to withdraw, and at those points, how are you putting your boundaries in place to honor that person completely in its entirety? And then the fifth principle is that we go through is substance abuses. And there's so many substances out there. I'd say the biggest one these days is sugar, and sugar is in everything. How are we keeping away from sugars, which are, or minimizing, not even keeping away, minimizing sugars within everything that we have these days? How can we minimize that? There's alcohol, there's drugs, there's cigarettes. So how can we reduce the impact that those are having on our life? So they're the 6 pillars. So what we tend to do is, like I say, do the inside work and then do the outside work as well. And it all starts with, first and foremost, is always a breathing assessment, because we've completely forgotten how to breathe.
How to breathe,
Yeah.
yes.
We've forgotten how to breathe completely. And that is one of the fundamental reasons why we're in such high stress mode these days.
So true, Bal. Everything you've mentioned, I think it's so valuable, and I think it will help a lot of
Great.
People listening to you, I'm sure. And it sounds to me also like a holistic approach. This is something that helped me personally as well, the holistic approach. So not just looking at one element of it, but it is the diet, it is the sleep, it is the lifestyle, it is the breath, it is the what kind of thoughts you're feeding yourself, and whatnot. I do want to talk a little bit more about that identity. You mentioned about knowing yourself on a deeper level, understanding yourself, knowing your boundaries. I think there have been maybe, thank you. This is our
Thank you so much.
Sattvic coffee.
We may need to mention this.
Yeah, this is made of date seeds. Yeah,
Yes,
the date
the seeds
roasted. Roasted. So it looks like coffee, smells like coffee, but zero
It's
coffee.
just not coffee.
It's just date seeds. Yes, that's
Love
been
this.
grinded and exactly like coffee, but not.
So good.
Yes. Oh,
So
feels
good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So going back to the identity question, so how do you find the women that you have been working with, and maybe in your own experience as well, after having gone through the burnout and finding yourself in different lifestyle and different ways of relating to yourself, did you find that some kind of old identity had to be shattered, and kind of as if you're moving into a new version of yourself, a version you never thought existed or was possible, and you never thought that you could reach even to that level or that state of being? It's as if it's a new you,
Yeah.
more authentic you.
like you do know yourself now, because before maybe you were living on some kind of autopilot mode, just serving, or following some patterns of the past where you didn't know why you were doing something, you just did it because that's all you knew, and that's what you learned from the world around you. And suddenly you find yourself completely shattering that version of yourself, like it just doesn't serve you anymore. Whatever you used to, like you said, your friends change, the relationship changed, that certain friendships had to kind of slowly go, and maybe you found yourself, you cannot relate anymore to the same environments, the same maybe people you used to find resonance with, it doesn't resonate anymore. And you are connecting with yourself, you're building that relationship with boundary setting. You understand that, wait a second, that does not serve me. Actually, it's draining my energy. How did you find that, or how do you think that women you work with find themselves in that new version of themselves? And maybe someone listening to you may be experiencing something, they're going through a similar experience, and they feel maybe a bit shaky there. It's like something old has shattered or is shattering. I don't know what this new version of me holds for me. Maybe there could be some uncertainty or fear. There could be some illusions being shattered. How can someone navigate through that? And or maybe someone listening, they want to know their deeper self, and they're not yet connected. They're listening and they're thinking, well, I don't think I know myself. I'm not sure I do.
Do we ever? I think it's a beautiful journey of life, isn't it? It's that whole, when we're born, we have no identity. Our parents give us a name. That's our first identity. Then they give us behaviors, habits. They are identity building. We get them off our peers or other kids, our teachers, our parents, and we form our whole identity between those ages of 0 and 7. And we live our life not questioning any of that, just thinking that's me, that is the way I am. But then you start getting to an age where something just doesn't sit right, or something doesn't resonate with you anymore, because maybe you've grown tired of that old story. Maybe it's something to do with your parents, where you always have to do certain things in certain ways, and you start questioning it and you think, well, is that true for me? Is that still true for me? And if you're starting to question that, then go with it, because our identities were never meant to stay there until this long. We are evolving human beings, and like I mentioned, it's the beautiful journey of life. Will forever evolve. And as we are unlayering and really letting go of some of those false identities and recognizing that story was never mine, that story was something that actually it was given to me by my aunt, or by my mum, or by my gran, or I've not mentioned any of the males, have I? All the great stories come from our mothers, all the females, but or my dad. That story was something that he connected to, or she connected to, but it doesn't actually sit right for me. It doesn't ring true, because I don't mind that, or I don't think that that's a value I need to have. So when you start really unlayering and shedding some of these old identities that you were just passed on to you, you start uncovering your authenticity. And who is it that you are? At the core of it, what makes you tick? What makes you smile? What makes you sad? What makes you feel the way you do in any circumstance? And once you start unlayering that and really coming to the core and understanding what your authenticity is, that is when you really step into your own and start making, again, like you say, boundaries, whether it is other relationships. People start coming into your life because you're attracting certain people. Some people may drop off because they no longer connect to your old identity. So it's that whole moving on from one place to another. And the more you're stepping into your authenticity, the more you kind of really start nurturing this is what I want to give back to the world. This is my contribution. This is what I'd like to do in the longer term. These are my values. This is my goal, because this is who I am. And it's questioning. It's consciously questioning where you're at right now, and if that pattern was ever yours in the first place.
Beautifully said, Bal. I resonate with it very much, and I think many people listening will definitely resonate and question and apply and search, what are my values? What do I stand for? What I would like to keep, what I want to toss away that is not needed. How can I know more about myself, deeper, who I am? So I think my last question, Bal, I want to ask you, if someone who is listening is feeling stuck somewhere and they want to get unstuck, whatever it is, what would be your tips or advice or practices that you could share with them that can get them unstuck from where they are?
So again, it's depending on how conscious you are in where you're stuck and how you're stuck. And if you've got the narrative going on of victim mentality, that you're forever kind of, this is the pattern of your life, that you're always down, things are always happening to you, then just pause. Stop that narrative for a second and just pause it to say, well, actually, what if I do have some control in this? I don't have to react like this. And that pause will give you some space to actually look at it from a different dimension, look at it from a different angle, to start questioning what you're just thinking. So start being more conscious about what the narrative is that's going on in your head, and have a look at it from a different angle and see whether that angle provides you a little bit more insight, that you could actually maybe navigate this in a different way, or start. And it always starts with awareness.
Very true. Yes, so changing the narrative, changing the perspective, looking at it from a different vantage point, and first pausing there to see what it is without judgment, understanding yourself deeper, what it is that's keeping me stuck. And
that's right.
Changing the story.
Change the story. You're the writer.
You're
so
the
change
writer
your story.
Of your life.
Yes. And we think that, again, life is happening to us. But what if we change that perspective to say, actually, maybe life is happening through us.
For me.
Yeah, it's happening for me.
It's happening for me.
Yeah, absolutely. That I do have the pen in my hand and I'm writing my own story.
Very true. Beautiful. Thank you so much, Bal. It has been genuinely a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with everyone. I have learned a lot from you, and I love your energy. I love what you bring to the world. I love how you're helping so many people out there. You have so much to share and to pass on to others, so they can also benefit in the way you have benefited. So it is truly appreciated. Thank you for your time, for your smile. Yes, and I see you soon next time. Maybe in UK somewhere.
Sounds good.
We'll record another one in UK.
You come and stay with me this time.
Yes, I'll come to UK.
Fantastic.
Okay, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you very soon for the next episode of Get Unstuck with Alla. Thank you and have a beautiful day. Bye for now.